Okay, the lighting is even better now. What the hell? Maybe I should have waited a little bit. What time is it? 3:55? Good to know. So I'm getting a couple frequently asked questions that I thought I would just review while I'm here. One is, where's the promised land? Two is, can we get a family tree? And three is not really a question, but sort of something I still just want to respond to, which is like, just skip the Old Testament, read the New Testament. So this is the promised land. Here you have the Jordan River, the Dead Sea, I think, the Mediterranean. This is where Egypt would be, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and these are all of the tribes that got the land. So you can see like all the towns. Right here is where Jericho would be. I'm honestly surprised it's not on this map. I guess maybe they didn't carry the name, but Jericho still exists now. I actually looked Jericho up, and like in city center, there's a KFC. This is making me want to go tour this area, but like obviously it's so enmeshed in issues, whatever. This is where Jericho is. And then these three towns, they're gonna have drama starting in Joshua. I know it. I only read like the first couple of pages, but there's something brewing. So this is the promised land. Here, I'll get out of the way. Okay, there you have it. And then we'll start the family tree with Adam and Eve. I just Googled this and screenshot it earlier. Then you have Cain, Abel, and Seth. And then you go down, 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 down to Noah. You know him, famous for the flood. And he has Shem, Ham, and somebody else that I don't really care about right now. Then from Shem, you have, these are just like his sons straight down. So these are the generations. Arpachshad, Selah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, Terah, and then Abraham. So this is where it's going to get spicy. Terah has Abraham. Abraham gets with three girls. Abraham gets with this girl. I didn't know anything about her. Honestly, didn't even know she existed. Then he has Hagar and Sarah. So I passed over this when I first started doing the recaps because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into here. But in the times where Abraham was with Sarah and they couldn't have a baby, God gave Hagar to Abraham. And Hagar was Sarah's handmaiden, and she had Ishmael. Sarah got jealous of Hagar and Ishmael and banished them to the desert. Poor Hagar. She had to go raise Ishmael in the desert by herself, really effed up. And then they have all these kids, which like I didn't know about. I don't track it. Okay, so Sarah and Abraham have Isaac. Remember when she's super old bag of bones? And Isaac gets with Rebecca, his cousin. And from there, they have Jacob and Esau. And Jacob was Rebecca's favorite. Esau was the oldest one. Esau was supposed to get the blessing, but because Rebecca loved Jacob more, she said, trick your dad on his deathbed while he's blind, basically, and get the blessing. So Jacob got the blessing. Then he got with Zipporah, Leah, Rachel, and Bilhah. And from Rachel, he had Joseph, our one and only. Then I was like, I kind of want to see where Moses comes from. Who is Moses' dad? So Moses' dad is Amram. I just had to Google this. Amram's dad is Kehath, and Kehath's dad is Levi. So Levi is Moses' great grandpa, I think. And then the last thing that I was thinking about is like, I'm still getting so many comments that are saying like, just skip the Old Testament, don't read the New Testament. And I commented on this a little bit in one of my previous videos, which is like the other two major world religions, Islam and Judaism, follow the Old Testament. So it's still relevant. The world, while Christians are a huge majority, it's not like the world doesn't revolve around that. But also, I've thought of more arguments in my spare time. And one is like, you don't buy a Bible with just the New Testament. I'm sure you could seek it out, but like if you go to church, they don't just have the new, like if you go to Christian or Catholic church, they don't just have the New Testament in the pews. They sell the Holy Bible old and new, right? So like, to me, kind of invalid. But then also, like, I'm a numbers girly. If there's a way that I can do math about a situation that I'm in, I will find it. I love statistics. So I'm like I'm figuring out what percentage of the Bible am I through, which is like 23%. And then while I was at it, I was like, what percentage is the Old Testament in the Bible? Girl, it's 85% of the Bible. The Old Testament is 85%. So you're telling me to just skip 85% of the Bible? Like, I'm now officially further in the Old Testament, in the Old Testament for sure, in the whole Bible total, than the New Testament takes up in the Bible. And I guess maybe that works for some people to like pick and choose and just to decide like, okay, well, the New Testament is like where it's at. But I don't know. I feel like you can't really negate this overwhelming majority. That would be like, it's a huge portion of the story. So to tell me just to skip it is kind of cray. And I'm having a lot of questions. Like, I'm also still getting a lot of comments about the age thing and people being like, well, 900 was tracked in like lunar cycles. And if that's the case, when did that stop? Because now people are 110 and 120. So how old are they then? And then people are also commenting like, oh, well, the 40 years, like it wouldn't have to, that's a trek that takes people normally 8 days. So it took them 40 years because they were so disobedient to God and they weren't following God. And I'm like, well, are we following the lunar cycles? And why is Moses 120? And why is Josh 110? But like, then they were 900, but then it's also because we were closer to perfection and we discovered sin. But then it's also because there was like a firmament around the earth. Like, you guys, okay. So my mind is constantly racing a little bit with all this stuff, like things being about women's health and people saying that it's all about women's health, but like they had to do virginity tests. And then I'm hearing that people in the olden days to pass virginity tests would stick dead animals up there so that blood would come out when it was time to do it. And you're trying to tell me that that's for women's health? I don't know. So those are some frequently asked questions. If you have more, let me know. I'm a researcher at heart. I want to Google. I want to take it all in. So let me know what your questions are and I'll answer them. Okay, bye.